Yeah.
Not till 9 a.m. they'll work.
And there may be some stragglers coming in.
I'm used to it. Right. B-R-I-G-H-T. No problem.
All right, hey, thanks everybody for coming. This is Carl Bright. Carl's traveled down from the Columbus area. He is an expert in Indiana pension systems, not just the 77 fund. He also does a presentation on all of them, but today he's here to talk about the 77 fund. Carl doesn't get involved in legislation, so as we all know, or most of us know, that there's some upcoming changes that are likely going to be going into effect this July. He won't be discussing that. I can answer any questions that anybody might have regarding those. Carl's going to tell us how the system works as of today, right?
Awesome. Yep.
And when Carl's done, we'll have a rep from Nationwide coming in to be talking about healthcare costs and retirement, unexpected healthcare costs and retirement, and then some options we can have in regards to paying for those expenses. But thanks again for being here. There's donuts and coffee over here. If anybody needs decaf, I can make an extra pot of decaf. There's 2 bathrooms upstairs, and there's a bathroom right here. So.
Awesome. Thanks. Good morning, folks. Again, my name is Carl Bright. I'm a regional retirement services consultant for the Indiana Public Retirement System. Basically, I've been doing this 11 years now. Fortunately or unfortunately, I spend 98% of my time on the PERF and TURF funds, not the 77 funds. So current legislation or specifics in regards to the 77 fund, I'll defer to Joe, because you guys live this plan more than I do, but hopefully I'm going to touch on the things that are the most important today in regards to this plan and the like. Quick background, we cover about 1,200 employers statewide. That includes cities, counties, townships, school systems, charter schools such as Ivy Tech, universities, libraries, and the like. There's about 475,000 members statewide in the different plans that we oversee, either retired, drawing benefits, or active in the system. And including the 77 fund, we also cover the PERF fund, which is basically the municipal workers out here day to day, the teachers, judges, prosecuting attorneys, legislators, conservation officers, and then again, 77 fund we're talking about today. As you walked in, there's 3 items over there on the credenza or table. Snapshot of the slideshow, your notes on, take home with you, start your fire with, or whatever. 77 fund at a glance. Folks, these are the cliff notes in regards to the fund itself. So if you have any specific questions in regards to the plan, this is going to answer most of those questions. It won't cover kind of new legislation and the like, but the most pressing items that you'll probably be seeing is right there on that 77 fund item. And then last but not least, here's some frequently asked questions in regards to the 77 fund. I would tell you to kind of peruse it. It might answer one or all the questions you might bring up today in regards to the plan itself. All that information is found on the website. So if you haven't accessed the Emperor's website, I would tell you to go to it. Information's right there that'll help you in regards to this plan and the like. And then last but not least, as I mentioned to Joe and Marcus, probably twice a month we give webinars through the system in regards to the 77 fund. So it probably behooves you to kind of dial in, access that presentation, which is basically what I'm going to cover here today. And hopefully it'll answer some of the questions you might have out there in regards to the plan. So, turn this thing on. As a disclaimer, I'm going to cover the 77 fund today, but if I should say something today that is contrary to the statutes, you always got to refer back to the statutes, right? That's basically part of the plan and the like. The 77 fund itself covers both retirement benefits, survivor benefits, and disability benefits. It's overseen by the trustees and the board up in Indianapolis with the Indiana Public Retirement System. And the benefits in regards to retirement is based on the base salary of a first-class firefighter or policeman at the year that you retire, plus any longevity increases. So it's probably key in regards to the calculation of the benefits right there. Contributions in regards to the benefit plan. Right now, the employer contributes 17.5% of your salary into the pension. You're contributing 6% of your salary into the pension. The employer can pick up a portion or all of that 6%. I don't know, do you guys pick up 3 additional? Yeah. Awesome. 20.5% of your salary going into a retirement plan. Pretty awesome, folks, when it comes down to it. I deal with a lot of people out here in the private sector. You know, in most cases, they've got a 401k that employer's contributing, or the employee's contributing 3%, and that employee or the employer might be matching that 3%. So contribution amounts in this plan are pretty awesome. That 6% is always your money up to the point that you turn age 52 and 20 years of service, and then effectively, then that money is there to fund the pension benefit going forward. 52 and 20 is the managed numbers, right? But a policeman or firefighter can max out at 32 years of service, or 74% of what that base salary is at that point, and I'll go into that in a little bit here. Retirement benefits. You're going to receive 50% of that base salary plus longevity increases in the year that you retire. 52 and 20 years of service, and you've retired from service. If you work longer, such as 32 years, effectively you pick up 1% for every 6 months of employment. So effectively, if you work 32 years, 2% each year over 12 years is 24%. 24% plus the 50, you're going to draw 74% of that base salary at the time that you retire. You can also retire early under a reduced benefit if you've got 20 years of service in and you're age 50. But please note that if you do retire early, they're going to haircut that pension benefit by about 7% for each year up to age 52. So you can see in this slide here that it says that if you draw the benefits at age 50, you're only going to draw 86% of the pension benefit, or at age 51, 93%.
86% of what you would be drawing at 52.
Correct, correct. And you know, a question came up earlier whether or not it makes sense in regards to drawing early under reduced benefit. My personal opinion is no, because the bottom line is I think most people are going to live longer than they expect in retirement. So the deal is to maximize income, right? And even at age 50, I mean, most of you, if you do leave service at that point, are probably going to go back to work in some other capacity. So whether or not you need that income or not right now, probably the answer is no. Yes, sir.
On the previous slide, when you mentioned time in service in the 6 months at the bottom there.
Yep.
You said essentially, but is it actually, say you work, is it in 1 month increments, 3 month increments, or does it have to be, these guys and we always thought it has to be, I'm looking for my 6 month mark or date to get my extra percent. Or is it all prorated? Do you have to hit 6 month windows, or how's that?
I cannot, Joe, you might have that answer. I don't know the detail. I would say it's the 6 months, but I don't know that detail.
Mark, do you know that?
I sent that question in online because I'm looking at July the 16th.
So the question mark is,
I asked, is it the 16th? You know, when? And their reply to me was, it has to be at 6 months.
Okay.
There's the
We
answer.
need to
Any increase in your percentages has to be accrued in those
Time
6
accrual
months.
window or spot.
Not daily or prorated
Right.
down. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep. In addition to the pension benefit, there's another portion of the plan which is called the DROP program, or the Deferred Retirement Option Plan. I'm sure that you've all heard of it and the like. Basically what the DROP does is 2 things. Number 1, it allows the employer to have a better idea of when a firefighter or a policeman might be leaving service. And number two, it allows for that member, when they leave service, to receive a lump sum distribution in regards to dollars with a lower pension benefit. Does that make sense? Lower pension, lump sum benefit. So the drop is for a minimum of 12 months up to 36 months. You only have one election in regards to the drop. So if you enter the drop, decide not to exercise it or continue to work in your position, then essentially you can't come back and enter the drop in the future. People will ask me, they'll say, well, Carl, does it make sense to go into the drop? My personal opinion, if you use those dollars in that drop for either retirement benefits in the future, or maybe you're going to plan on starting a business in regards to those monies, yeah, maybe it makes some sense. Because effectively, if you enter the drop, let's just say for 3 years, you're essentially going to reduce your pension benefit by about 6% over your lifetime, right? 2% for each year over a 3-year time period, 6%. You know, it's too many times I hear about people that effectively take that money out of that drop and they go out and buy a new Harley or that new boat or, you know, that new truck. If you use it for retirement benefits or, again, starting a business makes some sense, but if you use it for something different, I don't believe so. And I'll give you a perfect example. So my wife's been married twice. You know, I'm the trophy husband, correct? Yeah. So her first husband, he wanted a new boat. She had a 401k. Basically the same thing. She took money out of their 401k some years ago, bought him a boat. Now she doesn't have the husband or the boat. So make sure, please?
Or the retirement.
That's right, or the retirement. So it's all gone. Use it for what it's intended to. If you decide to, yes, sir.
Is it not it's only a reduced benefit for the rest of your life if you haven't hit 32 years?
Right. Yeah, once you're maxed out, that's a good point.
Correct. Yep.
You're not getting any higher after 32 years. So
Correct.
If you're going to work 3 years past 32, you're crazy not to take the drop.
That's correct. Yep, correct. Thank you for clarifying that. If you decide to enter the drop, I would tell you to sit down with your pension secretary, talk to them about it, fill out the paperwork, in essence, send it into Indianapolis and get the quote back to you in regards to the drop itself. The amount in regards to the drop can be paid out in a lump sum, or it can pay it out in 3 equal installments. That's up to you in regards to how you want that money paid out to you if you do it in the drop. Senate Bill 80.
Can you,
Yes, sir.
can you roll that lump sum into another
Qualified plan?
qualified plan?
I believe that is correct. You can roll that money in. Yep. So I've had people roll money in, you know, into another qualified plan, IRA, those type of things.
Does everybody understand what the drop money actually is? Did you touch on that? You know, where did that money come from?
No, I didn't touch on it. Go ahead.
But essentially, they're just allowing you to retire that day, right? And keep working. So they're just banking your retirement checks for you for the amount of time that you're going to be working for full pay. Right?
Correct.
It's your money already. They're just putting it into a savings account for you and then giving it to you whenever you separate ways with the department.
Correct. Yep.
I think I did notice on your previous slide there it said there's no interest accrued on those monies, is that correct?
No interest accrued on the money. Let me try to think here. I don't know where that.
Right,
Yeah, I'm trying to think where you saw that.
right there. Bullet point number 3, 3 annual installment payments, no interest.
Yeah, you're not getting any interest in regards to the payments itself.
Okay.
You would think that you should be because the money's just sitting there. So why would you take installment payments as opposed to getting a lump
That's
sum
my
payment?
question. If you
Yeah.
do a 3-year drop and you get 1 lump sum payment, is interest accrued on that?
Well, if you get the lump sum payment, you're taking the money and you're doing something with it. So however you've got it invested at that point. right?
Oh, you individually manage those 3 years worth of money?
No, I think it's two different things. If you take a lump sum, then you're taking that money out and you're putting it to work
I'm
yourself.
talking about from the time you sign up until the time you get dispersed that money.
No, it's
No.
going into a non-interest bearing account.
That's
Correct.
what I was asking.
Correct.
And just to further clarify, a 22-year person's drop, 3-year drop, is going to be less than a 30-year person's 3-year drop, right? You're signing up based on your years in service.
Correct.
We've had that come up before. People, well, why is this guy's money more than my money, but this guy's more time in service?
Yes, sir.
Just to let you know too, that money, if you do not take it and roll it over to certified account, they will tax you on it.
Yeah.
But it's no higher a rate than normal, right?
Yeah.
It's a lesser,
There's no penalty.
it's lesser if you're over 59 and a half.
Yeah.
If you don't roll it, you're gonna lose like 40% on it.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about the taxes here in a minute in regards to that portion and everything. Senate Bill 80, the drop in disability retirement. This is a rule that went into effect after January 1 of 2015. Basically says that if you've entered the drop, and let's just say the drop for 36 months, and you've gone past 12 months in regards to the drop, and because of a disability you're not getting to the end of that drop, they're in essence going to run the benefit or calculate benefit as if you had gone to the end of that drop period and everything. So, any clarification from that standpoint, Joe? No. Yep, awesome. Tax consequences, you guys talked about it or you prepped me in that regards. Folks, this is all taxable income, okay? Your pension benefit is taxable income, the drop piece is a taxable income. If you take a lump sum in regards to the drop and have it paid to you directly, if you're below 59 and a half, essentially you're susceptible to a 10% early withdrawal penalty, plus Uncle Sam's going to take 20% right off the top, plus you're going to have state and county taxes on the distribution. So for most of you, if you take that money out, 33 to 35% is going to go away day one. So the best option is at least roll it over until you turn 59 and a half or after that to avoid that 10% withdrawal penalty. I mean, pretty substantial one.
After the 59,
Please?
what's the rate after that, do you know?
Well, I mean, the rate is essentially what your tax rate is. I mean, Uncle Sam's going to say, hey, I'm going to take 20%. If you're in a 17% tax bracket, you're going to get some of that money April 15th of the year after you file your taxes or receive the distribution. If you're in a higher tax bracket, let's say 22 or 23%, then you're going to pay more April 15th of that following year. As a disclaimer, again, we tell folks that if you're planning on taking a distribution or if you want more clarification in regards to the taxes, talk to your tax advisor because we don't give tax advice and the like.
I think for Mr. Craig, there's zero penalty after that though, as far as penalties go, right?
After 59 and a half, correct.
No penalty.
Correct.
Taxes.
Yeah, just the taxes. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Give the room a few examples of a qualified account. I know there are a lot out there. but
Yeah.
Some of the common ones.
Yeah, qualified accounts, IRA. Most of you probably have an IRA at your local bank or credit union. 401k. If you worked in the private sector, or if you're going back into the private sector, you'll have 401ks. In regards to like PERF membership or TURF membership, those are 401A plans, essentially tax-deferred plans. So if you've got the ability to roll money from one tax-deferred plan to another tax-deferred plan, and you do it within 60 days of the date of the check that they issue to you, effectively you keep that money tax-deferred.
We all have a 401A plan.
Yep.
Here.
Yep.
Well, I mean, if you're enrolled in a deferred comp, then
But I don't think you could roll the whole lump sum into that. You have to split it between that and other.
No, that's not correct. No, you can roll lump sums in. Yeah, lump sum roll-ins are completely different than annual contributions. So there's limitations in regards to the contributions you can make into a qualified plan or retirement plan on an annual basis. But you can roll, I mean, if you had $1 million in a 401k, you could roll it over to another plan and not be part of those annual contribution amounts. So, good question.
Make
Yep.
sure the check does not come to you at any point.
Well,
Straight in within 60 days.
yeah, unfortunately, MPERS, They don't do custodian to custodian transfers. So effectively what they would do is they would cut a check payable to who you're going to roll it to. Fidelity, A.G. Edwards, Merrill Lynch, Chase Bank, put it into an IRA, and then you've got 60 days from the date of the check to roll it in to avoid the taxation issue. So,
Money cannot go into 457 though, only the 401A?
I think because I think he's saying 401A, and that's a little above my head, but the 401A is the employer's opportunity to give us money, whereas the 457 is us saving ourselves.
Correct.
So I think that's why that money would go into the 401A or the 457, but to us, they're the same thing. We can draw them at the same time, so.
Well, my fear was if we did away with the 401A in the future, if somehow they got negotiated out, then we could have a potential issue of rolling it into the.
I think we still have that 401A.
We should be able to roll.
Yeah, I think it would still be your account. They just wouldn't be contributing to it anymore if something like that were to happen.
and the Nationwide guy that's coming in after me, he should be able to clarify that question specifically in regards to those relatives.
Under the understanding, once we separate employment, your 457 is paid out into some other, like, IRA account.
Well, you can, or you can just keep it tax deferred until you, the rules are that when you turn 70 and a half, if you got money in a qualified plan, you've got to take what's called required minimum distributions. But up to that point, you can keep them tax deferred. Unless there's some stipulations in regards to your plan that says at some point you've got to roll it out or distribute it in regards to the plan. End of the year, if you retire, you're going to receive a 1099-R. It's just about like your W-2. It reflects how much you've been distributed in that tax year. You're going to take it down to your tax account and have them fill your taxes out. Or if you use TurboTax or Tax Pro or whatever, you're just going to fill in the boxes in regards to the tax portion of the business. It's interesting, these next 2 or 3 slides, they've stuck them in here, but it really probably pertains more to people that are in the PERF plan or the TURF plan. Because what they're talking about is, what do I do in regards to the whole retirement process? They're showing 24 months here. Well, in most of your cases, you're probably going to enter that drop for 36 months. So in your case, you're probably planning way farther ahead than these slides basically tell you. I would say, yes, sir.
If you don't do the drop, there's still is it a 2-month window you need to notify?
90 days.
90 days.
90 days.
Yeah,
You need
yeah.
to notify IMPERS.
Correct. Well, IMPERS, sit down with the pension secretary, talk to you, get the paperwork filled out, and start that whole process. Don't wait, folks. Believe it or not, time flies. I remember my parents telling me a long time ago, as you get older, it goes faster. Wow. I don't know where the last 10 years or so have gone in that regards. But start the process, sit down with your pension secretary, get that quote in regards to the drop, find out how much your pension payment's going to be, do the planning, get ready in regards to that time. And then they give submission dates. For most people, submit the paperwork 90 days ahead of time. I can tell you it's interesting when I deal with 77 fund folks versus PERF and TURF funds. 77 fund is almost cut and dried because you're going to know pretty close in regards to what your pension payment's going to be. That letter that they send from Indianapolis telling you what those numbers are on the pension as well as the annuity. On the PERF and TURF side, those folks have to either make election on 5 options on the pension and 4 options on the annuity savings account, which is kind of like the drop piece that you folks have in the 77 fund. So sit down again with the pension secretaries to talk to them about what's going on in that regards. What happens to my 6% contribution that goes into the plan if you don't reach retirement? I tell folks that's your money, folks, up to age 52 and 20 years. So essentially, if you leave service, then basically you can take that money with you, do a rollover, distribution, pay the taxes on it and the like. You can even leave the money up at IMPERS in the 77 fund. Please note though, after 5 years of service, if you've not done anything with it, you're not going to receive any more interest accrual on those balances. So after 5 years, it doesn't make sense to leave any money up there. Hopefully for most of you, you're going to hit those 52 and 20 years or more years and maximizing those benefits in regards to the plan and stuff. And you know, it's interesting, I take a look at these different plans that I work with. This 77 plan is pretty good. I mean, I think from a legislative standpoint, the folks who work here locally, statewide, do a very good job in trying to protect you folks for what you're giving to us in the community. You know, putting your lives on the line day in and day out and the like. So don't discount what's going on from a legislative standpoint. Joe might have some more statements in that regards. Disability benefits, second part of the piece. There's two disability plans under the 77 fund. There's a pre-90 plan and a 90 plan. And the difference is basically when you started in regards to the plan. So when you take a look at the pre-90 plan, if you're hired in before January 1990, effectively that's the plan you're in. The 90 plan is after December 31 of 1989. And from my standpoint, there's some similarities and differences in regards to the two plans. The pre-90 plan and the 90 plan both have a local review in regards to the disability. Both of them are reviewed at the IMPERS board level in regards to the disability. The difference is regards to the benefit. So if you take a look at the pre-90 plan, it basically says if you're eligible, you'll receive a disability benefit equal to your full normal benefit at age 52 for the duration of that disability. Okay? And then the difference there between that plan and the 90 plan is they've cut out the disability payment based upon your class of impairment as well as the base monthly benefit and the degree of impairment. So there's two pieces that go into the equation of what that disability payment would be. And if you step on over to the next slide, it gives you a rundown of both the class of impairments 1, 2, and 3, and then the benefit formula that's used to compute the benefits afforded to you under that disability. First, I would tell you, try to avoid being disabled. You don't want to go down that path. But if it does happen, there is protections out there to you in regards to the benefits and the benefit plans. Personally, I've not been involved in any one of those type of different discussions. I don't know, Marcus, have you? Either at the local level or at the state level?
Some guys here have, I caught the tail end of one disability, but the only thing I've taken from it is tax-free.
Yep.
part.
Yep.
There's no real good answer on if that tax-free ever stopped, which is interesting. I spoke with an attorney the other day, Langenbacher.
Okay. Yep.
We were talking about pre-1990 hire, 1990. And it all goes back to the IC code, statutes.
Right.
And it's all in there.
Right.
Just gotta dig through it and find it.
Right. Right.
We had one, post 1990 hire, went out on disability, and we went through the class level and the impairment.
Right. Yep. So again, I think from my standpoint, the folks up in Indianapolis, even at the local level, are there to protect you, make sure that the benefits are afforded to you under those different plans and the like. There is an exclusion under prior medical conditions under a Class 3 disability. I would just tell you to kind of review that if it affects you in regards to the disability. Again, there's protections in that regards. And that disability appeals process is both at the local level as well as the Indianapolis level, and those folks are there to work with you and the like. House Bill 1617 covers catastrophic injuries legislation, and this is a rule that went into effect after July 1 of 2017. but that's retroactive back to July 1 of 2008, that basically says that if a fireman or a police officer is more than 67% impaired, then essentially the disability benefit is increased at a rate equal to the monthly salary of a first-class patrolman or firefighter in the future. And again, there are a disability equal to the monthly salary of a first-class patrolman or firefighter based on the specific guidelines under that plan. And I don't know if you folks have had anybody in that case or involved in regards to that rule.
Similar, with the appeal process.
Yep. Okay, sounds good. Survivor benefits. Probably the key here on the survivor benefits has to do with the surviving spouse. If they should outlive you after you retire, not line of duty, they're going to draw 60% of your benefit for the rest of their life. Probably key, right? Make sure your spouse knows that. If you should pass away in the line of duty, they're going to draw 100% of that benefit for the rest of their life. And there are other protections out there for surviving children, as well as if you don't have a spouse or children, you have living parents, then there's also some benefits that could be afforded to them under the plan. Along with the general survivor benefits, there are some lump sum benefits associated with specifically line of duty for protection. That $150,000 number is pretty substantial, and as I know it, and Joe, you might have more information on it, they're trying to get that number increased in regards
to 250, and yeah, there's a good chance it's going to increase to 250,000, and then also on the non-line of duty, the 60%, it looks very promising that effective July, that will be increased to 70%. And that's part of the, as we're all familiar with, the bill that is increasing our benefits 2% per year, right? That's right. So it'll go, so it increases all of our pension from 50 to 52%, and that 2% is the same all the way. So you still will max out at 32 years, but at 76% instead of 74. And that will be for anyone who has not signed up for the drop or retired after July 1st. And I mean, it's not concrete yet, but all of our leadership sees no opposition right now, so it looks like that's going to go through. But part of that bill increases survivors' benefits from 60 to 70% also.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that input. I tend to not.
One thing I had to add to that is check on your beneficiary, make sure that that's accurate at the Empress level. A lot of 77 fund is member driven, which means you guys call up and do your paperwork. I can give you the paperwork and you can make sure those are accurate.
Correct. And in that note, I'm going to jump off forward. If you have any specific questions in regards to your plan, or if you need to update beneficiaries or the like, send an email at questions.empers.in.gov. Those folks are there to answer those questions. If you call the 844-GO-EMPERS number, you're going to talk to Voya, which is the new back office system call center. Those folks are very good in regards to what they do, but in most cases they don't know the nuances in regards to the 77 fund. If you have specific questions in regards to the 77 fund and you want to talk to a live body, tell them you want to talk to Tier 2. That's the old PERF-TERF call center. And those folks there are manned in regards to those different plans, other than just the regular PERF and TERF plan. And then there's our website, as well as the information associated with the plan. So, there's good information on the website. As I mentioned before, there's webinars out there. There's folks like myself that are sitting in offices giving those webinars that have the rules and new legislation right in front of them. It's worth looking in or sitting down to one of those and going through it again. So, with that said, as I mentioned to you, 77 Fund at a Glance gives you the cliff notes. The facts there might answer some questions specific to the 77 Fund. And again, if you have any specific questions, send an email to questions@mpers.in.gov. Questions, comments? Nothing much new, really. The legislation is the big piece. Most people have seen this, what I've gone through. It's the new legislation that's really most important.
Yeah.
On the survivor benefits, on the, like, mine says spouse, do I actually have to have my husband's name in there, or how does that work?
Normally they don't have you'd think that they would have the name there, but they normally just say spouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like what you and I had talked about earlier. Even if I show a beneficiary from my previous marriage, my money is going to go to my current spouse.
Effectively on the pension benefit. I clarified that because essentially when you take a look at your 6% contribution and you've not reached that 20 years of service in age 52, essentially that 6% is still your money. So there should be a named beneficiary in that portion. But for most of you in here, you probably have already reached those time periods, 52 and 20. So effectively the benefit under the pension would go to that spouse in those cases. Yep. Questions? Awesome. All right, folks, have a great day. Thanks so much for your time.
Nationwide, representative will be here in probably 15 to 20 minutes, and she'll be talking about retirement, healthcare and retirement, and unexpected costs. Brian, Steve, we just came back from Indianapolis yesterday.